Hi. As you can see, there's a lot of smoke around out here today due to wildfires. I want to talk to you about solar again. I'm going to try to make this a pretty quick video if possible. If you live in an apartment and you need a small amount of solar, you need to know one thing: your window sizes. Now, if you live in an apartment, first, second, third, fourth floor, and you can't set up solar outside like I have here, but you want to have a way to charge a phone, run some lights, things like that, some small items, and even possibly a laptop, then I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's go on inside. Get midnight in here. Now I apologize, I have to keep my shoes and the door to keep the door open so I have enough light in here. Now I redid my solar setup. Now you can see I have a 10 amp solar charger controller. I also have a battery. I have the 12 volt port and the light. Is it 13.4 volts? Alright, now I don't need the light on, so I'm just going to shut that off. What I have here is a 20 amp hour battery, 12 volt. You do not need a 20 amp hour battery. I can hook up a small DC to AC power inverter on this, but I prefer not to because this battery is not really made to discharge slowly. This is a high output battery, and I'm going to show you where I got it from, or tell you where I got it from. Last week, my girlfriend got off of work and her car would not start. And she did have the power station. Unfortunately, it would not do anything. Now, on the old power station, it had the 12 volt port, the plug, like the one up here. It had USB, had a light, had an air compressor. All that other stuff worked, but the cables would not work. They would get no power through them. So she had to make a phone call to her boss, and she did not get off until 11 o'clock at night. And he wasn't happy, she wasn't happy. So the next morning we went and got her car. I discovered her battery was bad, and we got a new battery, and we splurged with money we didn't have and got another jump starter. I understand this is EverStart. I do not recommend buying EverStart ever if you can avoid it, but it was the cheapest one we could find that she could carry in her car. Now the bad thing about this, I've seen people online where these buttons, it's a push button to get stuff to start, broke. So be careful if you buy one of these. Also, if you buy one of these, they do not come with a charging cable. This cable came with my old one, and that's what I'm using to charge this one. She has this in her car in case something else happens, and so she can jump her car if she needs to. It does have a DC to AC power inverter with a plug built into it. And like I say, we just bought that because I wanted to make sure she had something. Since my old one was not getting power to this, the clamps, you know, I wanted to make sure she had something. We do plan on getting a lithium battery pack as soon as we can afford it. One of the small ones. These are lead acid. So, and this is what went bad. The switch went bad to turn on and off the clamps. That's what went bad. This switch would not turn on. It stayed on off. Even if you turned it on, it would be off. There would be no power going through it. And finding a switch like this size is next to impossible. So I just ripped it apart. And I can use the cables and everything else. The air compressor, I saved the air compressor. I could not save the 12 volt port. It had a 12 volt port like the one up here, because basically the way that was made, it was a thin piece of metal in a circle and a small circuit board pushed against the back. Literally, it's not one piece. It was two pieces. So I could not say that. But this battery's out of the old jump pack. It is a 20 amp hour battery. Now, because I have a battery on here, it's forcing a lot more amps and full voltage through this little adapter, which is forcing my battery charger to charge. Now, would I try to charge 4 batteries in here at one time? Not really. I mean, this does pull quite a bit of power. It says 9 for charging. I can't really see that. I'm sorry. 5 volts is 2 amps. It is input. So, yeah, I could possibly do that without an issue, but I'm not going to. But the way it's set up now, I could actually plug a laptop in here if I had a car charger, a 12 volt charger. Now, once again, if you want solar and you live in an apartment for a small emergency situation, this is an easy way to do this. Everything is mounted on one board, right here, one board. And I just have it screwed up, and you can put it on some type of hooks so you can hang it up somewhere, or you can just screw it in the wall and the studs if you need to. And all this is on one board, and you can just, you know, use it when you need to. The larger the panel, the better it is. Now I'm going to show you how cheap it is to actually get the panel and the solar charging controller, and everything else you can find pretty reasonable. The light, you can find adapters like this, whether it's power ports or cigarette lighters. You could go to old cars and junkyards and find cigarette lighters. This came from a dollar store. So, you know, it's 13.6 up there. I'm going to show you how cheap it can be. Now I got a fly in the house. My door was open. For a 30 watt setup, right here, I am on eBay right now. $55.79. Now once again, you see how small the 30 watt panel is? This is the panel I have outside. It has the 10 amp solar charger controller. Let's see, right here. And it also has USB charging. So this does come with a 10 amp solar charging controller. $55.79. Now, if you can go a little bit more expensive, I recommend higher than a 30 watt. This is 12 volt. Everything's 12 volt. Now, right now, the 75 watt with a 10 amp and 6-foot extra cable is $89.27. It says normally $95.99. You have to know your window size. Get what you can get that will fit in your window. The larger the panel, the more power it produces, the more you can use it, the faster it charges. That is why you have solar. You want it for emergency power and backup power. Now, would I try to run my chest freezer on something like a 30? No. Now, I could absolutely hook up a small DC to AC power inverter up there without an issue and run certain small items such as this fan, things like that off that battery. Would it last long? I don't know, because that is more or less a starting battery. It is not a deep cycle battery. It is a starting battery. But I could do it. Now, would my chest freezer run off the 75 watt? Well, I believe it would. But I would not want to test that in a bad situation. Especially if your window is only getting sun during certain types of the day. What you're doing is your freezer would be pulling power out of the battery. Now, I'm pretty sure that little 20 amp hour battery would not run my chest freezer all night long. I'm pretty sure it would not. It probably would only run it for an hour, hour and a half to 2 hours, maybe, being that small of a battery. But this is for backup power, emergency power. 75 watt, 8927. Here's the thing, a 100 watt panel with the solar charger controller. Right now it's $98.57, and today is 8/26/2023. So a 100 watt panel, if it would fit in your window, that would be the way to go. Now, this has a 10 amp solar charger controller. Now, I do have their site pulled up. They do sell batteries, and they sell all kinds of stuff. If you want to go with a larger set, or a better charger controller like the ones I have, here is the charger controller I have. It does have 2 USBs on the top. It has a temperature sensor. It has cables. It comes with the battery connect with a fuse holder for a fuse. Brackets. This came with everything. It is $149.99. I believe this is a... I'm not sure. I can't see. I believe that's a 20. No, that's a 10 amp. Okay, that's the 10 amp MPPT charger controller. They are better than the PWMs, but they are more expensive. And honestly, I still believe it's a PWM. Who knows? Yeah, see, it says PWM right there. So, yes, they are PWMs. I don't know why they say MPPT. But $149.99, that comes with all this. So, you would have to get the battery. And something like this, it comes with like 15 foot of cable. So you could actually put everything 15 foot away. Your whole set could be like 15 foot away from your solar panel. Once again, if you want a small solar setup, something like this is real easy. All this is on a single board right here. As you can see, I have it screwed up on L brackets. All I have to do is take the screws out, take it down. I would take this light off, take the couple screws out I have in here so I could get to the screws up there. You could actually hang this over something instead of screws, L brackets like that. You can put hooks on it and hang it on something. You could put a hole in the middle and just screw it into the wall. Whatever you need to do. But if you need your solar in a window, the largest solar panel that will fit your window is what you go for. Whether it be 30 watt, 50 watt, 75 watt, 100 watt. If you have windows side by side and each one could hold a 100 watt panel, that's what you do to get more power. The batteries have a lot to do with your solar system. A small battery, if I had nothing else going, this small battery would run this light all night long if needed. And everything is on one single board. It's the 13.8, 13.9, 13.8. So you see it is charging. 13.9. And that's while my batteries are charging here. if you need a power station, if you buy one of these, one thing you have to understand, they do not come with a cable for charging. This is the old cable that came with my last one, my old one that I tore apart. These do not come with a cable. It is a very small place in the back that has a rubber piece that folds over. I don't know if it's going to show this. No. It does not show the back. Unfortunately, it doesn't show the back. There's a little rubber piece that folds up, or down, actually. And then it plugs into the back. It has a small double plug that plugs into the back. The prongs are sticking out, and you have to have a cable for that. Some extension cords will not fit this. The round ones I have, like this, will not fit on this. It has to be a little bit smaller. This barely fits. I mean, barely. And it's not really that big. It looks bigger than it actually is, because I'm pretty close. So, like I said, and on your power stations, if you have one with a switch like this, and everything else is working, but the power going to your clamps here is not, there's a good chance your switch went out. Let's get back over here. That is it. 13.2, 13.9, 14.1, 14.3, and I was jumping up and down because the clouds outside, I guarantee. But look, any small 12-volt battery, if you have a motorcycle that requires a 12-volt battery, if a scooter, a motorcycle, if your riding mower requires a 12-volt battery, or if you can find a small 12-volt battery for something like this, for an emergency, where you need lights, you need a way to charge things. I could charge my laptop on this because I do have a car adapter for my laptop, and it would charge my laptop with this battery. But you would have to give this battery time to recharge on such a small solar panel. If I had a bigger window, I would have a larger solar panel in the window. If you are an apartment, studio, garage apartment, whatever, base your solar setup on the size of your window if you want it inside. Because if something bad happens and your solar's outside, it may come up missing. Something may happen to it, whatever. But if you want something on the inside, this is a real easy setup. Just a light solar charger controller, small battery, and some type of charging plug or charging port, and then an adapter, and there you go. Turn that light back on. I don't know if you can see the numbers up there. It's now 13.8. 13.9. I don't know if you can see that. And it went up to 14. It went higher than 14. So it is charging. It is charging my batteries. And it is all on a single board, so I can move it if I need to. And since everything's already set up, you could keep something like this in a closet and just hook it up to your solar panel once a week or so, once a month, to make sure your battery stays charged. And it's movable, it's small, and just leave your panel in the window, plug it in when you need it. Alright, that's it. I'm fixing to go. I apologize, it's 20 minutes. Everyone have a good day. And once again, I do apologize for the people in other countries that do not have access to eBay. I do not have access to what you have, so it's hard for me to find stuff for you. Um, Also on this battery, I have it held up with just a piece of electrical wire. This is a 12-2 cable. Basically, it's the wire right here. It's electrical cable. And what I did was I drilled a hole through the center, about that far up on the cable, on the top and bottom. Drilled a hole through the center, just put a washer, a large washer, and tighten the hell out of it. And it is holding this battery just fine. One on the top, one on the bottom. And it's holding this battery up just fine. This battery has hardly any weight to it. If you have a little bit heavier battery, you could do two like this. Right here, one here, to hold the battery in place. Large enough screws or nuts and bolts going all the way through the board, coming from the back, and then tighten it from the front, and that'll hold your battery in place. Pretty simple stuff. Anyone can do this. Like I said, this is just a small update. This is a small upgrade on what I did with the solar and the window. It will be there permanently, well, at least until we move. Now that there's a battery here, this battery was not going to last forever. That's true, especially if there's no sun out. But I will be able to use the lights at night off the battery here without having to use these, unless it's an extreme emergency. Plus now I can make sure if I need to, I can charge stuff up, and I don't have to worry about the sun being out. You know, that's up to you if you want to do that. The battery is a 20 amp hour 12 volt battery that came out of my last jump starter. The orange one I had, I believe it was orange. But it was an Everstart too. It was junk. And this switch went out, which made it completely useless to us. Alright, anyway, that's it. I am fixing to go. Let me get this one more time. You can see it is charging. I hope you can see that. Pretty simple hookup. I can always move the board if I need to, but right now I have emergency power in the house. I can hook up a small inverter. I would not on some type of battery this small, or some type of solar panel this small, but I could for an extreme emergency. But other than that, simple to hook up, pretty cheap on the price. You can find 12 volt, this is an RV light, you can find them pretty cheap. It has a LED bulb in it. You can find cigarette lighters or power ports for 12 volt. I've already shown the USB port. You can buy one of them if that's what you need. Plus you have 12 volt plugs, not 12 volt, excuse me, USB plugs up there on the solar charger controller if you need them. I have multiple ways to charge. I have multiple ways now as far as keeping power in the house. I have my power stations. I have, of course, 2 of those. But now I have an extra way to run off this small panel in the house on a single board. All this is mounted on one board, so it can be moved, and I can use it whenever I need to. Day or night, this will now work. That small battery, 20 amp hour battery, 12 volt. I have lights. I can have it all night long running this one light if I need to, or I can charge things even at night thanks to this little bitty battery. Alright, that's it. I'm fixing to go. I apologize for the length of this one. Remember, if you have a jump starter where everything else works but your clamps won't work, good chance it's either a switch like this or a push button switch like this has gone out. if everything else works except for these right here. In my case, this went out, which made that jump starter absolutely useless, because I have other ways to charge USB. I have other ways to have 12 volt. So it made it useless. We had to have something that would jumpstart a car in case my girlfriend needed it. You know, getting off at 11 o'clock at night and not being able to start your car and the jump pack not working, that pissed me off. EverStart is junk. We do plan on buying a lithium jumpstart little box when we get the money up. It's going to be a while, but until then, she's going to carry this in her car. I will bring it in once a week and hook it on to charge. Make sure it charges on her days off and put it back in her car. Make sure she has it if she needs it. But if you buy one of these, remember it does not come with the charging cable. I don't know why it doesn't for the price it should have. Alright, it is 9:59 in the morning. The power is producing. You can see it's dropped down to 12.7. That's because the clouds outside and the haze outside, but it is still producing. That's it. Small battery, small solar system, or excuse me, small solar set hookup. Real simple, real easy. If you need emergency power for something small, charging a laptop, phone, having lights, even at night, you can still charge at night, charging off this battery. But once again, this battery is a 20 amp hour sealed lead acid battery, so it's not going to last forever. It is really tiny, but it will work in a pinch. Alright, that's it. I am fixing to go, and you can see this one battery is almost charged. Anyway, this is a small update. That's it. Everyone have a good day or night. Bye.